Bonjour mes amis, je m'appelle Tito, je fais des vidéos sur les finances personnelles sur mon autre chaîne, mais sur cette chaîne je parle d'autres choses comme aujourd'hui où je vais revoir le film A Weekend to Forget.
Seven friends reunite for a weekend getaway after years of being apart, but things aren't as smooth as they hoped as old tensions and unresolved issues resurface.
Now, first of all, let me say that in this review, I'm going to be rather vague about the details of this film, A Weekend to Forget, because this is a murder mystery. And with films of that nature, the less you know about the film, the better the experience will be for you, to be honest. So if you want to know, or if you're watching this review just to know whether this film is worth your time or not, I think it is. I think you should go and see it in the cinemas currently, or if it's on streaming now, when you're watching this, go and watch it on streaming and then come back to watch this review. I really do think the film is worth your time, especially if you're into murder mysteries, like I said. That said, let's dive into it, beginning with les performances. Now, before I dive into the performance, let me say that this movie is the directorial debut of Damola Ademola. He's one of Inkblot's 3 owners, and that information is going to be relevant later on in this review, so just hold on to that for now. Now, the men in this movie were Daniel Etim Effiong, who plays Shima, I believe his character was called, Stan Nze, who played Tito, incidentally, Neo Akpofure plays Bem, and Elozonam plays Ferdy. Yeah, those are the 4 men in the film, and they all did a good job. Daniel Etim Effiong, so we see good Daniel and bad Daniel in this film, sort of. We see Daniel's range, because Daniel is an actor with range, if you ask me. Some people may, beg to differ, but I think Daniel has a lot of range. He can play a good guy and a bad guy. We get to see a bit of both in this film. We get to see a range of emotions from his character in this film, and I really did enjoy his performance. Next, Stan Nze playing Tito. Tito is a character who I think had the most to lose by being at the crime scene, in this film. And I think Stan communicated that rather, not necessarily emphatically, but he communicated it really well in the movie. He did a great job playing the kind of person that he played. And I always say, whenever I talk about Stan Nze, he's one of, well, I often say it, I don't know if I always say it, I think Stan is one of the top 3 actors in his category, right? And I'm talking about actors between the ages of like 25 to 45. I think Stan is like in the top 3. He's such a great performer. His performance in this film wasn't like mind-blowing. I don't think I'd even rate it as a top 3 Stan Nze performance, but Stan is just always so good, and his characters are always so dynamic and different. So I really just enjoyed his performance in this movie. It doesn't even make a difference that he played a character that bears my name. That's neither here nor there. The character was just good, and I appreciated Stan's performance. Neo Akpofure plays Bem, and to be honest, for a portion of this film, I was feeling like, I felt like Neo was the weakest link in terms of performances in this film. This is only the 2nd film I've seen him in, the first being Palava, which was another Inkblot film, which I think came out like late last year in cinemas, earlier this year on Prime Video. So there really wasn't much to go off of in terms of his acting prowess, and in this film, I really wasn't blown away for most of it, but he did redeem himself in a couple of scenes, I must say. There are some scenes that are actually done underwater in this movie, and I think of those scenes, I think Neo had one of the best underwater scenes, and because of that, I was willing to forgive, the not so great job he was doing earlier on in the film. Now, Elozonam plays Ferdy. If you've seen the trailer of this film, by the way, if you haven't seen the trailer of the film, don't watch it. Yeah, because like I said earlier, the less you know about this movie, the better the experience will be for you. But if you happen to have seen the trailer or snippets from the film, you know that Elozonam is like this party boy, and he's the life of the party, so to speak. And he really looks the part, and he delivered, yeah, with his performance. But he also gave me like something different, something that I've never seen before from Elozonam, and I appreciated that. And his performance in this film actually reminded me of his performance in Sanitation Day, which was another film he did a couple of years ago, which also starred Blossom Chukwujeku. So I enjoyed him in that, and he reminded me of that performance, or that film rather, with what he did in this movie, A Weekend to Forget. Yeah, so those were the men of this movie. Akin Lewis was also in the film, and he does a really good job. It was Akin Lewis like I've never seen him before, so he was good. But now moving on to the women. Erika Nlewedim, she plays, what was her character's name again? Ndali. I'm trying to pick my words carefully because I tend to be a bit tough when it comes to Erika. Erika is one of those BB Naija, former BB Naija people or actors that it's very hard for me to see their character. And I just keep on seeing the BB Naija, the superstar, you know, from BB Naija. So I struggle with that whenever I see her and stuff. But in this movie, for a good portion, I wasn't seeing Erika from BB Naija. I was seeing an actor. You know, I was seeing a good performance. So of all the things I've seen Erika in, I think this was my favorite performance of hers. She did a decent enough job. Moving on, Ini Dima Okojie. Ini Dima played Layo in this film, and Ini Dima, right? The thing about her performance is her performance is that Ini Dima's characters always seem to be going through one thing or the other. You know, she seems to be afflicted by one, you know, trial or tribulation, right? I think also, second to her performance in Blood Sisters, this was one of my favorites, or probably my second favorite Ini Dima Okojie performance. She does a good job. Also, you know, experiencing a range of emotions as people who go for a weekend to have a good time, but then stuff hits the fan and there's a problem with all of them, right? So she goes from happy to sad to, you know, conflicted and all that rather well. I enjoyed the performance, and I think, you know, Ini Dima she was the woman for this role. In fact, all of them, I couldn't have cast them better, if I'm being honest. Uche Montana plays Lisa. I also don't want to say too much about Uche Montana's character, Lisa. I've seen Uche Montana in 2 other projects aside from this. Before Valentine's and Hide and Seek. Now this one, I think this one is the favorite, or my favorite performance of hers. The character was believable, the performance was good, and I enjoyed it. So the cast was actually really good, and their performances were really good. And I think what really did it for me was seeing all these actors in a whodunit type of film. I've seen them in so many other things, you know, separately, but I haven't seen them in a whodunit. And the nature of that kind of film and the emotions that are required in that kind of film, they all surprisingly delivered. So the performances were top-notch. Sekweji Emi. Like I said earlier, the performances in this film were really good. I don't think I would have cast like better actors or more appropriate actors to play these characters if I was the casting director for this movie. I think everyone was appropriate for the movie. I also liked that Inkblot was bold enough to venture into a murder mystery type of film. Because if you're used to murder mysteries, films like Knives Out, you know, Glass Onion, A Haunting in Venice, A Murder on the Orient, A Murder on the Nile, and all that, films of that nature, right? It's hit or miss, right? You either get it or you don't. So I think that's why lots of Nollywood filmmakers steer clear of murder mysteries. But I think Inkblot actually, they got a hole in one with this one. It was actually, I mean, first of all, kudos for the boldness to attempt it, and then kudos on actually getting it right. So there was that. I also liked the lighting in this film. Lighting plays a major role in a film. Well, it's tricky in a film like this where they're outdoors and they're indoors. Sometimes they're in the pool, sometimes they're out of the pool, beside the pool. Lighting those kinds of scenes can be a bit tricky, as I'd imagine, and they did a really good job with the lighting. Not to mention that because there's an element of suspense in a film like this, a murder mystery, lighting also plays a role. So, you know, there were different gelled lights at different points in the film. You had like blue lights and red lights and this, that, and the other in the film. And those techniques were used at the appropriate times in the film. And between the lighting and the next thing I liked in the film, which is the music, they really worked together hand in hand to like create that air of suspense in the film at certain points. The music was appropriate, came in, faded in when it needed to fade in, faded out when it needed to fade out. The music itself was actually really good and appropriate, and it created that chilling vibe of a murder mystery. I also liked the styling and the wardrobe in this film. For most of the film, the characters are just wearing swimwear, right? But even at that, it looked nice and it looked appropriate for each character and it looked colorful. Hair and makeup. The hair and makeup was also quite good. Also, something that I imagine would have been challenging while making this film, because for some portions they're underwater, so, you know, waterproof makeup would have been required. Other portions that are outside of the water. Sometimes they're indoors, sometimes they're outdoors. So with that kind of challenge, right, it's a bit tricky to maintain the makeup especially, but they really did get it right and they did a good job with that. The hair, particularly Ini Dima's hair, while I was watching the film, I made a boomerang, right? And I noticed in that boomerang, after watching it a couple of times, that I really liked what they did with Ini Dima's character's hair. So yes, that's another thing I liked. The fight scene choreography in this film, there's a little bit of a, tussle in the film here and there, and they did that well as also. I enjoyed that. Finally, I will say they weren't stingy with angles in this film. They give us different angles. They give us overhead shots. They give us underwater shots, not once, not twice. I was impressed. They give us the Dutch angle. When I saw that, I was like, come on, Inkblot, I see you. Shout out to Barney Lee, I think Barnabas Emodi, who was the DOP on this film. The angles, they weren't stingy with the angles. I was like, just bring it on. I love it. I love it so much. There are several things to like about this film, particularly, like I said earlier, if you are into murder mysteries and whodunit type of films. Kudos, Inkblot. Ce que je n'ai pas aimé. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a momentous occasion on my channel because for the first time ever, there is nothing that I did not like about a film that was made by Inkblot Studios. Which is painful because I actually do like taking jabs at Inkblot Studios. But for the first time, there's nothing I can complain about. I mean, Neo's performance, yeah, but like I said earlier, he redeemed himself, so I'm willing to overlook that. So technically, there's nothing about this film that I did not like. Wow. When I'm done with this review, I'll look outside, I'll check the sky to make sure that elephants aren't flying or that the sky isn't pink. Qui devrait le voir? If you're into murder mysteries and whodunit type of films, if that's your cup of tea, if that's your bag, then stop watching this review right now. Well, before you stop watching, be sure to like it by clicking on the like button underneath the video and subscribe to my channel as well. And also share this video with anyone who you feel may enjoy it by copying the link and dropping it in their WhatsApp, chat or whatever, or in a WhatsApp group. Once you've done any of those three things or all of those three things, you have my permission to end this video here and now and just head straight to the cinemas to go and watch this movie, A Weekend to Forget. I don't think you'll regret it, right? Also, if you're looking to watch something different from Nollywood, right? Because Nollywood doesn't do this type of film very often, and dare I say they did it well. If you're willing to try something different, straight to the cinemas, just right now. Once this film gets on Prime, sorry, not on Prime per se, but on streaming, it's going to be the talk of the town. And you just make sure you avoid spoilers. See it as soon as it comes out. If you're waiting for streaming, if you're outside of Nigeria and you don't have access to our cinemas, as soon as it comes out on streaming, watch it that day so that no one spoils it for you. In conclusion, guys, this was a really good one, as you can tell. I've gushed about this movie, and kudos to Damola Ademola, his first, film, or the first film he's directed. Kudos to him. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Kudos to my friend Bio, who co-produced the movie. Kudos to the DOP, Barnabas Emodi. I'm emphasizing or mentioning him again because I really like the camera angles. And I talked about the angles earlier. In fact, there are three shots or angles that I didn't mention earlier. They gave us low angle shots in this film. They gave us a time lapse in this movie, brilliant. And they gave us a POV like angle or shot, right? Where the camera is like giving you the angle of an individual, hiding behind walls and moving and all of that. Those were creatively done. Like I said, they weren't stingy with the angles, and I felt the need to mention those three angles or those three shots in particular, if for nothing else, for posterity's sake. And this film is just a testament to the fact that Nigerians like attention to detail and they like intentionality. Because all these angles that they gave us in this film, which I really appreciated, they didn't just happen out of nowhere. They were intentional about them, and they had their place in the storytelling and in the movie itself. And I'm not the only one who is saying that, or who has said that this film is really good. Other people have said it as well. It came out, I saw it a week after it came out, because the week it came out is when Black Book came out, and I was really focused on Black Book, so I couldn't focus on this film. But so in that space of time, lots of people have told me that the film was good. It took me seeing it, for myself to really take it all in and to understand what they meant when they said that the film was good. Intentionality is important for good Nollywood or good films, and also attention to detail. Yes. That said, it's now time for me to rate this movie. Whew! This isn't going to be easy, but I'm a man of fairness and integrity. And while this is an Inkblot Studios film, if you've seen my other reviews of Inkblot Studios movies, you'll know what I mean. Inkblot has suffered in my hands, essentially. I will give this movie, A Weekend to Forget, 4.5 over 5 jollofs, making it the highest rated Nollywood film that I've seen since I started rating movies anyway, in this new era of rating films with the jollof ratings. 4.5 over 5. So congratulations Inkblot, congratulations Damola Ademola, congratulations the cast on doing a fantastic job, congratulations the crew on producing a fantastic film. 4.5 over 5, and trust me when I say we are going to be mentioning this film again or talking about this film again at the end of the year when I do the top 10 best from Nollywood of 2023. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please like this video by clicking on the like button underneath the video and subscribe to my channel as well by clicking on the black subscribe button, and share this video with friends and family. Now, on this channel, I don't just do Nollywood movie reviews, I also talk about relationships, and I also have an awesome podcast called the 30-Minute Podcast. I just ended season 1. To check out the podcast and any of my old, or my previous Nollywood reviews, you can click the card in the corner of the screen. Have a look around, and I have awesome content, particularly the podcast. If you have time, if you have 30 minutes, then please check out my podcast, the 30-Minute Podcast. Once again, card in the corner of the screen to access all those amazing videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. Kudos once again, Inkblot Studios. Hopefully this, is the beginning of greater things to come. If you know, you know. And kudos to all involved. You guys go and see A Weekend to Forget. I think you'll enjoy it. I think it's worth your time and your money. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next review. Take care.